illogical tells the truth that Hamas is not oppressed, they are billionaires.
Why people like him have such an implacable desire to eliminate Hamas, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned that in my tweet. I didn't just end it at, ceasefire and hostage return. I said that it's imperative to disempower Hamas. And, this is something that I think is really important to understand when we keep referring to Hamas as oppressed people. They're not oppressed people. We're talking about billionaires. We're talking about the heads of Hamas are billionaires, and they are being funded by the Islamic Republic, who are also billionaires, and they have been giving millions and millions and millions of dollars over time. This narrative about being oppressed people is Islamic Republic propaganda that is designed to target the Western left, because the Western left fall for this this false binary of oppressed and oppressor, and everyone has to support the oppressed. And there's no red line to what the oppressed can do. There's no red line to what the perceived oppressed can do. And so then you ask, like, how far does that go? You talk about people in Iran who've been living under occupation for the past 45 years. Nobody has ever murdered children because of that. You talk about Nazi Germany. Jews didn't go around slaughtering children and innocent families because of that. It's not true that there's never been an observable pattern in history of human behavior that people who are oppressed resort to slaughtering women and children. Yes, it is true that sometimes they revolt against the entity that is doing that to them. But when you're talking about Gaza, when you're talking about Hamas, that are billionaires, that are very, very far from being oppressed, that are hosted and funded by some of the richest countries in the world, that is Islamic Republic propaganda to apologize for jihadism. And that very terrorism, and this is what I said, this is a vicious cycle, right? The more that there's terrorism, the more there's oppression. The more there's oppression, and it's a vicious dance. So unless we're willing to get at the root of this, okay, if we don't want Palestinian people to be oppressed, we have to end
Ayman
this
Abed, a social activist from Gaza, tells the truth
oppression.
about Hamas and its brutality for Gaza residents.
من 5 أفراد يحملون الشواكيش والمسدسات لاغتوني فجأة في الشارع وقاموا بضربي بشاكوش على رأسي وبقرص على إيدي، ثم غطوا وجهي بجوزتي واقتادوني لمسافة 300 متر. طلب مسؤول منهم أن يكسروا أصابع التي تكتب. طبعا هم كانوا عرفوا عن أنفسهم للناس أنهم مجموعات من الأمن الداخلي يقومون بضرب جاسوس أو عميل. عندما انتهوا مني وقاموا بتكسير أصابعي وأقدامي وأيدي، نيموني على ظهري، وقام أحدهم بحمل حجر وإلقائه على فمي لتكسير أسناني. كشف رأسي فالناس عرفتني، فتصارخ الناس حولي فقاموا هاربين. بعد 20 دقيقة جاءت سيارة الإسعاف، طلبت منهم نقلي إلى مستشفى العودة. طبعا أنا أتفهم بشكل جدي أفكر بالخروج من قطاع غزة، لأنني أعلم أن بقائي في قطاع غزة لن أتلقى العلاج المطلوب، وأنه ربما يتم قتلي جراء ما حدث معي وجراء الرأي العام المضاد ضدهم فيما حدث معي. أفكر جديا بالخروج.
Bill Maher educates Eric Dyson either you believe Hamas needs to be destroyed or you don't.
Hamas needs to be eradicated?
Look, I don't believe in any terrorist organization, period, bottom, end of story. But I don't equate Palestinians with Hamas any more than I would.
But they're fighting Hamas. Do you believe that Hamas should be eliminated?
They're not fighting. They're not killing Hamas. They're killing.
Well, yeah, they are.
I'm saying they're not only killing Hamas.
Of course.
They're killing a lot more people besides. So
okay. Well, what war did we ever have where they were only killing the soldiers? None.
Well,
never happened. Never will happen.
All I'm saying, Bill, is that if you're going to have moral outrage, as you should, the evil that was enacted on October 7th is undeniable to me, and I don't apologize for opposition to that. Straightforward, right? When I wrote my piece in the New York Times about anti-Semitism, deeply entrenched in this culture, I believe that. At the same time, we can't talk about a world in which we can't at least acknowledge that the over-response of Israel that many progressive Jews and others have said is wrong
but
and problematic has to be called out. That's what I'm talking about, understanding.
I disagree with the premise. Either you believe Hamas has got to be wiped out. This is a group that, again, has attacked Israel 5 times. Israel gave back that land in 2005. Since then, they took a lot of money from the world that was for charity and for their own people. They stole it. They used it to build tunnels and import bombs and attack Israel 5 times, including that horrible one on October 7th. Okay, their charter says, we'd like to wipe these people off the face of the earth. They proclaim over and over again that they are going to do it. Does that group have to be wiped out? And if it does, then the idea that you know better than the Israeli Defense Force how to accomplish that?
It's not that I know better, but I'm saying, are you saying it's justifiable that the 35,000 people who have been killed now in response to what happened there is something that we're willing to live? I'm saying I want both evils to be eradicated. I want them both to be removed. And I don't justify assaults upon Jews any more than I justify assaults upon Palestinians.
But it's a fake argument, because if you think Hamas has to be eliminated, then sometimes people are going to die. And you can't put a number on it, because we don't do that with any other war.
Bill, I don't believe the justification of that occurs, and I stand tooth and nail against anti-Semitism and the evils visited upon Israel and Jewish people, and we have to hold them accountable. Look, if you oppose Idi Amin, you're not anti-black because you're calling him into question. Now, we know a Jewish state is different. We know Zionism is different. But no, I'm just saying to you, if we can't have it both ways. It used to be that the argument was to Ralph Ellison and other figures who were black, James Baldwin, you're mistaking Israel with Jews. Now we're talking about the collapse of that. We must protect to the nth degree the ability of people to live freely from terror and destroy that terror. But the terror is operating in multiple forms.
Very simple solution. Stop attacking Israel.
And I've only come out to a few people. I'm a guy. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm gonna go by Theo. I called my mom today, and I have to go home every day and be called my dead name and have she, her pronouns used every time I go home. And no one realizes how hurtful it is. It's like a slap in the face. And I dyed my hair last night so I could feel more masculine, and I was afraid I was gonna get thrown out of the house. We love you, Theo.
See, that's this. I want the members and the people that I lead to be able to recognize the devil when you see him. You need to know what you're looking at.
Schooled by Nancy Mace.
Can you define what a woman is?
A woman is a person who says she is. And let me just tell you one story about this, because when I was a child...
No, you're not going to tell me a story. We're not doing that right now. It's not story time.
Yeah, it is story time, because when I was a child, I was
No, it's not. I'm going to reclaim my time. Be quiet. I'm going to reclaim my time right now. Biological women are real women. A guy born as a man who wants to pretend to be a woman and put him in his big gym and the twins in the locker room with underage girls, or his little gym and twins, by the way, is disgusting. I have a daughter. She turned 14 last year. I took her to a store called Aerie for her birthday. We went shopping for an hour in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. She was taken to her dressing room by a biological male in a miniskirt and a lace bralette. It is disgusting. I have no idea if that man was over 18 or under 18. It is absolutely disgusting that we're redefining what women are and allowing men into women's private space.
All know wholeheartedly who deserves to be the Rookie of the Year based on record, based on what you do for your team. I look at Angel Reese and I say, she's doing exactly what she's supposed to do. You're underrated as a rebounder. You're proven that you should be respected, not only as a rebounder, but as a force, period. She deserves everything that she's getting for as far as recognition. But then Caitlin, expectations for her were already here. The team that she's spoon-feeding and keep dropping them eggshells all over the place. Imagine if she's picking up 6 more assists, she's getting 3 more rebounds, and she's putting the ball in the basket more because they're not really just trying to deny her everything. Like, I look at the potential of what happens when you make it even.
If they switch teams?
No, if Caitlin doesn't get all the pressure defensively, that's what you're asking,
Yeah,
right?
she has to overcome more than Angel does.
Caitlin had the big start, 18 points in the first quarter. You got that defensive assignment primarily after that and really cooled her off. What was your mindset going into that matchup?
Don't let her score. I studied her moves, and I was ready.
Melbourne's weekly protest festival, where you can become a Marxist, free Palestine, free Julian Assange, get a free Quran, and T-shirts from Super Mario. Karen is dictating to the kids about Marxism, invented by Mark, who's into totalitarian fun. George and Mildred from Mildura wonder when they can start gluing themselves to stuff for protest practice. Jerry just farted. Donnie from Bonnie Doon proudly flies the flag and shows the Palestinian watermelon bunny, whilst Caitlin from Toorak breaks the world record for waving an Aboriginal flag the longest.